Hey guys, and welcome to Jurassic Room. Now, technically, this is not like Jurassic Room or the living room or anything like that. This is the new area that I really am going to try and turn into my new recording area. I want to get everything set up around it because this is like the desk area in the house. It's got the drawers and everything, and a computer technically behind here that's like way over 16 years old, something like that. Since we had this in like 2005. So I want to get it all updated. Probably get a new monitor, of course, gaming setup and whatnot, but I also want to do editing as well as some online gaming, depending. Like, I want to play Bigfoot and all that. Take these out of my ears. You can probably hear the cats and stuff in here too. But this is the new area that I wanted to turn into my recording area for a while now. I'm finally going to start taking that seriously. I mean, you can hear the cats over here playing on the axolotl tank, the 75-gallon axolotl tank. You might be able to see it. Some crap in here moving around. You see that big tank right there, so you might hear the filter going off in a while. And I want to get like a big green screen back here or something to like make it look a little better. So I've seen the bathroom door. But anyway, today I want to talk about Masters of the Universe Revelations. Frankly, here's the thing. All day yesterday, because today's Sunday, it came out Friday. I've heard since Friday that the show was terrible, that Kevin Smith ruined childhoods, that like everything was crap, horrible. Now, frankly, I watched the show last night. I'm going to be posting my reviews, my reactions to each episode. I think I'm going to post like one a day, something like that, to each of the 5 episodes. Overall, while I do have some issues with some things, some retcons, characters that were really crappily written, I overall enjoyed the show. I thought it was alright. To me, here's the biggest thing. I know Kevin Smith basically lied. He said, no, this is about He-Man. This is a He-Man story. Tila's not the main focus. Yeah, no. This is a Tila show for the most part. Tila and the Masters of the Universe, basically. Now, had he come out and said that from the beginning, I think and this is going to be spoilers, guys. There's no point in making like a spoiler-free video. There's nothing much to say that's not spoilers. I recommend, if you haven't yet, check it out for yourself and get your own opinion. But from here on out, it's spoilers. So if you don't know, He-Man dies. First episode. And like actually dies. So.
I need you to order something when you're done.
Okay. But that's another issue with filming in here because her bedroom's right there. But anyway, yes, He-Man dies in the first episode. And I think if they sold it like that, like He-Man dies, Tila leaves, Masters of the Universe get like that, the minions of Skeletor and all that, like gone, that could have been a huge selling point. But no, they decided to sell it as He-Man. This is a He-Man show. All the action, all the glory of the old 80s He-Man. This is what the show is all about, and it's not. And if they had sold it like how the show is presented, I think a lot more people would be accepting of it when it came out. Frankly, I think while some things were a bit underwhelming or whatever not, I think that the overall rage has been overblown, just depending on whatnot. I think the best way for me to like break down this sort of review is to go through each of the characters, and therefore I can talk more going from there. So let's go off with Chris Wood, who played He-Man and Prince Adam. I liked He-Man. He had all the corniness of the 80s, but still had that hero part, except for when he's the evil version in Hell. That was still pretty cool. But he did a very good job as He-Man and Prince Adam, I think. The main problem with He-Man was pretty much perfect for all we can tell. He's basically He-Man the way he's always been represented. Adam, however, it's like Adam has always been such a sort of I don't want to say underestimated, but like under regarded, I don't know how to say it, character. Like, in the first episode, okay, he's dealing with, so Randor tells him, that's admiration, a parent's admiration, and one day I hope to feel that with you. Harsh as crap. And Adam just takes it like a champ because he's so used to it. And we've seen this explored in the previous series. Even the 80s cartoon, there was a whole... And in the 2000s, each of them had episodes devoted to this kind of idea of him not living up to Randor's expectations, and then of course the series kind of continues that in almost every episode, depending, of him looking like a coward when he runs away from battle, but of course he's becoming He-Man. That's something I wish they explored instead of killing Adam off. Take away the power of Grayskull, and Adam was... I don't know how to completely feel about it, because I liked how they explored like the death aspect. I think maybe they could have killed Adam off later on in the season and added a little more stakes. But I think it would have been a better idea to keep Adam alive from the beginning so that he and Tila can work out their issues and trust and whatnot. I think that would have been better than listening to Tila groan the whole series about how he lied. I think there could have been a lot more character building, especially with Adam, if he was alive for at least some of the episodes. Or at least depowered to Prince Adam. So that way we can deal with like the after effects with Randor and Marlena. We can deal with the whole thing with Tila and Man-at-Arms. You can deal with all of that. I think it would have been a far better way to pull it off. And that way we could have gotten a little more character development with Adam now that his secret's out. And now that his arch enemy is basically dead. So now he doesn't really have to hide it anymore, but he still has to deal with the aftermath of revealing his biggest secret. Because, of course, we all know that he really does it... He keeps the secret mainly due to the sorceress's warning to protect everyone. And that's how everyone always feels. But in the show, it's kind of dog... Hey, get away from him. Leave him alone. Dead dog. And made me lose my spot. But basically... kind of dogpiled and shamed the whole show. Like, he's so apologetic. It's like it's the same thing with Man-at-Arms. Same problem I had with Man-at-Arms. They're overly apologetic to especially Tila. It's like Tila, I'll get to her in a second, but they're overly apologetic to her because they kept the secret from her. Realistically, she's probably one of the best people you could have told. She could have helped you out way more, I think, if you told her the secret at least. But I digress. That was just the whole thing with the original show, and they kept up with it. But there's no backbone between Adam and Man-at-Arms as to the reason why they did it. Like the overprotection of everyone for the secret. So that's my biggest problem with Adam. I wish they would have kept him alive for a few episodes and dealt with like that, and reuniting with Tila the same way she kind of does with Man-at-Arms in the series, and maybe kill him off halfway through the series. He-Man dies in the first episode, technically. Adam dies in, like, the middle. And they end up finding him again in Preternia. And then keeping that whole story of Preternia, because I actually really liked that. I think that was cool. How they explain, like, the champions go to sort of like a heaven. And you see King Grayskull and Hero. And all of that. And, like, how he chose to keep his Adam form in like, heaven was extremely admirable, because Adam has always been such a selfless character, but you don't really ever think of that, in a way. It's always kind of, okay, let's get through the Adam stuff so we can get to the He-Man action. And I really like that they touched upon that when he was, like, in heaven. He likes to be Adam. He likes to be normal around everyone else, and he's kind of the big shot when he's He-Man. So he likes to feel humble. And that's the thing I really liked about Adam, and I wish they would have explored more in the show instead of kind of dealing with the whole mope trip of Tila. So, all in all, Adam could have been done a little better, but overall I enjoyed his character, and I definitely liked He-Man. Because He-Man was, in all, was basically, for a little bit that he's in there, you know, as the first episode and the few flashbacks they have, he's basically the He-Man we know. The selfless, caring hero. I mean, he literally sacrifices himself within like a minute's time to save all of Eternia when the power orb explodes. So let's go on and move on to Sarah Michelle Gellar as Tila. Let's see, who else does she play? I'm tapping on each actor to find out. This is going to be a little longer of a review. Maybe I should have done this live, but I don't know. I'd rather do it with editing and whatnot. Okay, no, not Michelle Gellar. Who else she play as? Sorry, I'm going to Tila. Okay, who other? Tila and Mercenary 2. Okay, so I don't know who Mercenary 2 is. But overall, Tila was the most problematic character in the show. She's just so... You understand where she's coming from with them taking... Not telling her the secret. And I think everyone kind of agrees that, like, if you're going to tell anyone the secret who is outside of the main three, Orco, Sorceress, and Man-at-Arms, it would be Tila, because she's always on side by side with He-Man, basically. And Adam, she would probably be one of the best people to tell to help keep the secret. So you kind of understand that part, but it's like constantly through the series of her moping, Marlena lied to me, Adam lied to me, even though he just sacrificed himself, blew himself up in front of you to save the whole universe. You might want to cut the guy some slack for not telling you his biggest secret to protect you. I mean, geez. And then just totally disrespecting Man-at-Arms. It's like earlier in the day she's treating him as her dad and whatnot, because that's how he's always been, her father. And then later on, first time they meet, she calls him Duncan. It's like the most disrespectful thing I've ever heard. And I was really PO'd at Tila for acting like that to this guy. And this was like when they first reunite. Like, he falls to his knees and apologizes to her because he loves her so much. And she's just like, you lied to me. Like, really? The guy who raised you, taught you everything, didn't tell you this big secret to protect you. And you're going to act like a little twit the whole time, to him specifically, especially seeing what happened to him with Randor. And I'll get to Randor in a minute. And then of course they give what's her name, Alina, I think she's at literally the very bottom of Alina, one episode. No, that's not one door. Marlena, Hero. I don't think they even. They must be mixed. The Triclops, Cringer, Roboto, Sorceress, Man-at-Arms. Andra, that's what I was thinking of. Andra is the one I was thinking of, my bad. She has an obvious fling with Andra. Hero, really? Hero. She obviously has a fling with Andra, and that's the whole thing. I don't really care about it, it's just not one of those things I really care about, so I just don't care. It's kind of obvious that they're like a thing or whatnot, but doesn't really bother me, whatever. There is also kind of a little girl power thing with Tila. It kind of gets annoying over a while. You find out when she goes to hell, basically, she's afraid of being too powerful and all that. That part was stupid. Now, when she started showing her magical powers, that was cool. That was akin to me to, like, Leia showing she had force powers in The Last Jedi. It's a cool idea. And we know that Tila could show that because she's the daughter of the sorceress, which, by the way, I want to talk about in a second, so sorry. That was cool to me. That wasn't like Mary Sue or whatnot with her doing that to me. It just makes sense that she's the sorceress's daughter. But there is like a girl power trip with Tila, which kind of gets annoying over a while, whatever not, but all in all, it wasn't. I'd say it's more of her her entitlement that gets to me more than anything, which makes her dislikable to me. Like, some of the other parts I really enjoyed with Tila. Like, she wasn't the most horrible character I've ever seen. It's just some of the, like, entitlement and the, like, I don't know, whatever, about herself that kind of annoys me. And if I remember something else, I'll try and touch upon it later. Overall, Tila was also probably my least favorite character, all in all, because of that. Just because it's like, okay, we get your beef. Move on, please, because this is not flattering for you. Especially when you go to heaven and you just go off on Adam, even though he blew up. He died for everyone and you, and you're just going to treat him like crap. Anyway, moving on. Lena Headley as Evil Lynn / Majestra / Old Hag. Who is Majestra? I don't remember Majestra. But, okay, I guess we'll just keep talking as Evil Lynn. And Evil Lynn was, to me, a good character. I know some people were complaining, like, between Tila and Evil Lynn, complaining about the men in their lives, which I touched upon. I watched a couple reviews to kind of get an idea of how I stand later on. I don't quite agree, although I do agree with Tila. Tila is overblown. She has no excuse. She's kind of just annoying after a while. Evil Lynn, she doesn't really touch upon it too much. Maybe it just feels like they touch upon it more because it's only 5 episodes. And only 5 episodes, it might feel like she's touched upon it more. But she does make sense when she says that she was misguided and she could have been more powerful than Skeletor when she says it. I don't think they ever did anything like that in the 80s cartoon, but in the 2000 series, that was like one of the main character arcs with Evil Lynn in that show, was that she aligns with the Snake Men. She sees that Skeletor is just using her and the other minions just like that. So she goes off and does her own thing, even though she gets punished for it later and gets taken back by Skeletor. But it does kind of follow along with that kind of idea of her knowing she's worth more than what she was with Skeletor, even though she kind of still has that kind of Harley Quinn Joker relationship with him. And literally the relationship between Harley Quinn and Joker, or Harley Quinn and Joker, is very similar to Evil Lynn and Skeletor. And I think that's purposeful because it's Kevin Smith and he's such a fanboy. I think he kind of made a lot of the character parts based off of other characters. And that's how I think that he handled Evil Lynn and Joker. Really? Or Evil Lynn and Skeletor, sorry. I kind of get the Joker thing because, of course, Skeletor is voiced by Mark Hamill. But overall, I really enjoyed Evil Lynn. I thought she was a really good character, and I really enjoyed her character development with, especially Orco, when she's talking with Orco about basically his mortality and everything, his problems. Like, that was some of the best character development I thought of in the series, was between Orco and Evil Lynn. Because you have such a huge... No, you get down. Got Wheezy up here. Like a dyad or something between the two, because he's kind of this little fool wizard, and then she's like a powerful sorceress. So I liked those talks between them. I thought those were some of the best parts. Sorry, I'm trying not to ramble on. So overall, I really enjoyed Evil Lynn. I thought she was a really good character. To me, I really enjoyed her part. I didn't think she babbled on too much. I think there's some genuine good parts with her. And also dealing with her freedom from Skeletor. She's kind of doing her own thing. Even if it's just to save the magic. Next is Skeletor, Mark Hamill. And of course, Mark Hamill only voiced Skeletor. Which is surprising, because I was almost sure that he voiced Cringer as well, because the voice actor for Cringer sounded a lot like Mark Hamill. I never thought I would say I don't want Mark Hamill to play a character. I enjoyed the Skeletor in this show. I really did. But he sounded so much like Joker, and even in his mannerisms and everything, I couldn't see past it. It's the craziest thing. I never thought I would say I'd rather have someone else than Mark Hamill, but in this instance, I kind of do. It's not that I don't enjoy the performance. I still do. I still think he's an alright Skeletor. Personally, to me, I've always wanted Robert Englund to play Skeletor. I think he's just perfect for the role. Ever since he did, like, Injustice 2 with Scarecrow, I think he would be, like, the perfect Skeletor for any cartoon or even live action. And I wish they would go with him at some point, because I think he's so good. But Mark Hamill, and there's some really good moments with the little bit that he's in. Of course, in the first episode, he uses the shaping staff to turn into Spikor, and then kind of boasts about his plan with Fakor and all that to take the sorcerers, and then she just blasts him. So because like in the 80s cartoons, he always does it feels like everyone's always doing like the introduction, oh, this is my evil plan and whatnot, and then he just gets blasted and face planted to the ground, which is kind of funny. But overall, I enjoyed his performance. I enjoyed what we saw of Skeletor, even though, frankly, he doesn't feel quite as threatening, for the most part, as he does. Like I say, my favorite version of Skeletor is from the 2000 series, because he had that amount of corniness, but he also had that threatening level. It's like even when he's first introduced, he doesn't really say anything. He's just that dark, shadowy figure. And that's how I really liked it. But in this one, he's kind of that corny, evil master of destruction that we see from the 80s cartoon. Which I do still enjoy. But especially with that twist at the end, when he stabs Adam in the back. Which is kind of a loop around since Adam He-Man stabbed him in the front, which was pretty awesome because He-Man actually does something and stabs Skeletor after he kills Moss Man. So we'll talk about all that in a little bit. And also that twist ending. I really enjoyed that twist ending. That was pretty awesome. It's like, and that was another thing with Adam and all that, and the story that everyone's freaking out about. Oh, they killed Adam twice. That's so messed up. They didn't kill Adam. They had He-Man sacrifice himself for eternity in the first episode, and then Adam gets killed, stabbed in the back by Skeletor, which is like the most Skeletor thing to do, is stab someone in the back. It's like the most petty way to do it. And it's like so perfect. That's why I like it so much. I love that twist ending. Because of course I don't think they're going to kill off Adam. I don't think they're going to kill off Adam and make Tila the next He-Man, She-Ra, whatever. I really don't think they're going to do that. Also, by the way, I feel like that kind of brings continuity. Because if you're doing a spiritual successor to the 80s cartoon, shouldn't She-Ra still be around, technically? Shouldn't there be a way to bring She-Ra in? Because they knew about each other in that series, at least, up until it ended. So, I wonder if they're saving that for like a future season and incorporating Hordak and She-Ra and whatever not. Because that's kind of annoying to me. Because if it's the successor, they should know each other by at that point. But whatever. But overall, I enjoyed Skeletor. I think he was alright. But like I said, it's kind of hard to see past the whole Joker voice. I was trying to think of what he said to get the right mannerism. Can y'all chill out for a little bit? I'm trying to carry on as best I can, y'all, without making this too long. Although this is a fairly going to be an in-depth review as much as I can make it. Andra. Moving on to Tiffany Smith. Andra and Mercenary 1. Don't know who Mercenary 1 is. Honestly, there's nothing much to say about Andra. She wants to be an adventurer. She wants to be a hero. She's the lover of Tila, as far as we can tell. She doesn't really have a ton of character development, other than like the small talk she has with Orco, which is incredibly sad, because apparently, I'll talk about Orco in a second. She doesn't really have, she's not an unlikable character. Actually, I think I like her more than Tila, to be completely frank. But at least she makes sense. Hey, you're gonna let all of the universe die because you're angry at them for telling a lie? At least she knows priorities. So next, Diedrich Bader, who played Trapjaw, King Randor, Pilgrim 1, and the Father. Don't know who Pilgrim 1 is. The Father was that crazy cyborg dude, that cyborg cultist dude. Okay, so let's start with Trapjaw real quick. Trapjaw kind of does what he always does, just he's a minion. He does what he does. He actually had a moment, you'll see in my reaction, I think, of episode 2, where I swear I thought he died. Of course, we see that he just has a cyborg eye later on. A robotic eye later on. And I was almost really mad, because I thought they killed off Trapjaw, and I really like Trapjaw. So, he's pretty good for the most part. He's just a minion. He's just doing what he does. King Randor. Let's get on with King Randor. He is more understandable because he's in there for like 3 minutes, just about, along with Tila. He's more understandable, although we don't know how he moved on from that, because of course we find out that Marlena knew that Adam was He-Man. So we don't know how he reacted to Marlena knowing. Maybe he just like exiled himself away from her or something like that. Probably doesn't forgive her or something like that. I want to see that confronted, especially with Adam being alive to an extent. Hopefully, as long as he's still alive, I'd like to see that explored. Like Adam coming back and finding that his parents are at least not truly together because of the secret that kept them, that separated them. But at least in the few minutes you see in episode 1, you understand him. His best friend, Duncan, Man-at-Arms, the guy he's fought with since they were basically young men, lied to him for years about his own son being He-Man. That's understandable. And of course, him dying. And then the secret. So I at least understand. It doesn't feel good to see that, but you understand it. His only son gets killed, and he didn't know the secret from his best friend. And you could always say, especially on the 2000 series, that Duncan is basically his best friend. So you can understand that, like why he exiles him, strips him of the title of Man of Arms, even though the Man of Arms title went to Tila. And by the way, that always kind of annoyed me with the whole... It's like I kind of understand why she became the new Man at Arms, because of course Duncan looks way older now. They actually made him look older, and especially when they reunite later on, he looks even older then. So I can kind of look past that and say, okay, this is one of the few instances where like the passing the title so early makes sense, because Duncan looks way older, so does Randor. So I can actually don't mind the fact that she becomes the next technical Man-at-Arms. I don't mind it. But King Randor, I really want to see where he's at now, because we understand where he's coming from. He also banned anyone from going to Castle Grayskull. I think he's against magic or anything. He basically banished Orco for the same reason of Duncan. That's why Duncan and Orco are together, because they kept a secret from him. So that all makes sense. Sorry. Let me get a drink. So, all in all, I think Randor is a great character, and I want to see what happened with him later on. So, here we go. Because we still got a few more characters. We have Lynn Cunningham. Wait a second, who's Lynn Cunningham? That looked very familiar. Liam Cunningham. Is that... Let me... Oh, that's what's his name? Irish actor Lynn Cunningham. I'm trying to think of what else he's played in. Clash of the Titans, Hunger, Game of Thrones. I thought he looked familiar, but I was trying to remember Rick and Morty. Like, there's something very specific that he played in that I can't quite remember. Saving the Titanic. It's going to drive me nuts, but I know he was in Clash of the Titans. That's right. I know him from Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. And boy, Liam, he sound in the show, Man at Arms looks, because we're talking about Liam Cunningham who voices Man at Arms. Man at Arms, Duncan, Hooded Pilgrim. Why do they call it? Maybe it's another Hooded Pilgrim, because he was already hooded in the show. I don't know, but basically Man at Arms. Let me get a drink. He looks and sounds like Qui-Gon Jinn, and it's hilarious. I already touched upon most of his character, though, when I was talking about Tila. I really liked him. I thought Man at Arms is a great character. For the most part, again, overly apologetic and no backbone when talking to Tila. And I genuinely felt sorry for him when Adam died and he got exiled. Because he's always, in like all the shows and whatnot, he's always so loyal. It feels horrible to see him stripped of his title and banished the way he was. Especially losing his best friend Randor in that way. And overall, his attempts at redemption for the rest of the show, also showing his relationship with the sorceress, how much he really cares for her, similar to the 2000 series in a way, was really cool. Even the 80s cartoon, he always had an admiration for the sorceress, so I understand that. And it's cool that they touched upon that in this series. And he kicks some major butt, so I really enjoy that, especially when he comes in and takes care of Merman's men. So, I really enjoyed Man at Arms Duncan, and I liked... once you get past the overall apologetic part, hello Elsa, he feels like a much better character. And even though he's a little washed up later in the show, at least he gets out of it quick, unlike Tila. Okay, let's move on. Man at Arms Sorceress, Susan Eisenberg, Wonder Woman herself. What can I say? Sorceress. Kind of stupid that she fell for one of Skeletor's plans so easily with Faker. That always kind of got me as well. Why would she not suspect anything with He-Man just dragging Spikor and Clawful up to the gates of Grayskull? She didn't just know. Surely she would have sensed it as well if it was not He-Man. Surely she would have sensed that. It's just weird. Because surely they would put them in like a prison in Eternia and not some prison in Grayskull. So that I thought was weird from the beginning, but I digress. She is basically as she has always been, the sorceress. She loses her power for a little bit, gives whatever she has left to Evil Lynn so they can save the power. She gets rejuvenated technically at the end of the show, and then she gets old. And then there's that whole stupid thing of them trying to... They literally go that route like 8 times, just about. Tila, we have a secret to tell you. And everyone knows. It's like, oh yeah, the sorceress is your mom. But yet we always have the stupid trope of, oh, but we can't tell you that. Oh, it's going to be just too long of a story. We got to continue on with the story. Whatever not. But all in all, I thought the sorceress was alright. She's basically how she always has been. And she kicked some butt. It was cool when she basically just exploded Faker. So, not much to say on that part. I think they did a good job getting Susan Eisenberg to voice her. That was a really good choice. So, moving on, we got Justin Long as Roboto, and I'm pretty sure that's the only character he plays. Yeah, he only plays Roboto. Roboto was one of the characters I really cared about, though, actually. I really did care about Roboto. They kind of retconned that he's kind of... He has, like, the memories of Men-at-Arms, so that was pretty cool. And you kind of like him throughout the show. He is literally Baymax, like, verbatim. He has, like, the same, like, you're harmed, may I take care of you personality that Baymax has. Like, he is literally Baymax to the max. It is hilarious. And he's kind of like that caring but unfeeling robot the whole way. Until the end, where you actually legitimately care about Roboto. Spoiler, when he dies. Because he uses all of his power and whatnot to reforge the Power Sword. In Preternia, and how he explains that, oh, I actually have fear. This is actually really cool. I can actually feel something. I'm not just a machine. I feel something. And then he dies, literally like Iron Man in a way. It is literally a Tony Stark death from Endgame. But it is equally as sad because of how he talks about how he has feelings, how he feels fear, and how having that fear is so fulfilling. So in the end, that was actually really, really cool. And probably my favorite, and I quote, death in the show, because it felt very fulfilling of how Roboto just explained what it was like dying, essentially. It sounds messed up, but how he explains dying, you feel really good for him. You feel happy. And his sacrifice was just really cool. I really, really liked Roboto. He was probably one of my favorite characters in the show. Moving on, Griffin Newman as Orco, and he's the only character he plays as. So Orco, probably my favorite character in the show. I really, really liked Orco. Orco's always been one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character. I always loved Orco. He's the same. It took me a minute to get used to his voice because he actually kind of has that like nerdy kind of sounding voice, rather than the kind of squeaky "Oh, He-Man" kind of voice that he has in the 2000s and the 80s cartoon. And I really, especially because it's always so. Sorry, I'm raising my legs up. How you feel about him? Let me get this chair. How you feel about him from the very beginning. You feel sad that he loses his best friend. And then, of course, when we meet up with him later on, he's feeling sick because there's no more magic in Eternia. Sorry, I'm getting uncomfy. It's already 8, almost 9 o'clock. And he talks about how he just feels sick and all that. And it looks really sad. But it's still cool that he gets up and goes on that adventure. But then we get to the boat, and he talks about how he's basically dealing with trauma and Alzheimer's. And it is so sad. He's like, he tells, what's her name? Sorry, Andra. He tells Andra, keep a journal so you remember all these good times, because now I can't even tell my memories apart anymore. And that is extremely sad to hear Orco in any kind of pain. He's like that little good guy that you never want to see hurt. So it really sucks that you see him dealing with something like that. But it was also interesting to learn. Maybe it's just because of his... Hey, leave her alone. I'm going to have to edit this out. What you doing, Furball? What you doing, Battle Kit? You're not Battle Kit, though. You're Panther. You Panther. By the way, Panther isn't even in the show. I don't remember seeing Panther. I don't remember seeing him in the first episode. Maybe he turns up later in part 2. Because I do not remember seeing Panther, even though he's in the poster. I want to see Panther versus Battle Cat. That'd be awesome. But back to Orco. So we get past that whole little Alzheimer's thing. Yeah, we get to hell, and we feel. I already talked about everything they deal with. Him dealing with. Oh no, sorry. His talks with Evil Lynn. He talks about how he's such a failure, and they do kind of retcon this because we know the reason why his magic doesn't really work in the '80s cartoon is because he's from Trala. Everything's backwards. If you remember that episode where they go to Trala and Adam has to say "Gray Skull of Power thee by" in order to turn into He-Man. That's why his magic doesn't work in Eternia, because everything's right side up or whatever. And this one, they explain that he's basically a screw-up from the beginning, and his name is actually Oracle, but he can only pronounce it as Orco. And it's still sad to hear that as well. It's like, poor Orco, he just can't catch a break from like the people around him. But it's nice to hear this little talk about him and dealing with Evil Lynn and how they kind of deal with these kinds of feelings. And it's really nice that the talk that they have. It's probably my favorite moment in the show is Evil Lynn and Orco. And of course, finally we get out of that, and they're fighting Scareglow, and of course Orco, because Evil Lynn can't use her power. Orco, his magic works, and he fights Scareglow, and he's able to fend him back. And that was one of the coolest moments. And the reason why I'm not getting overly mad or anything is because I think they're going to bring him back. I don't think he died. They're going to bring him back. He survived and whatnot. Because he didn't, and I quote, die. He just kind of zip out of existence or whatever. I think they'll bring him back. Unless Mossman just knows more than we can let on, and that Orco is actually dead. We're almost at 40 minutes. I apologize, but I really want to talk about the whole series. And I didn't really want to make it a live stream. So, Orco's sacrifice. And I was mad about it last night, but I'm not so mad about it now. Just because it was a nice sacrifice that it felt nice with how he was being portrayed so far. And I hope that they bring him back. That's the best way I can explain it. If they don't, I'll be livid. Okay? I will be livid. Still a nice sacrifice, but I'll be livid if they don't bring little Orco back. So, moving on from Orco. Yeah. Let's see. Kevin Michael Richardson, my man, as Beastman, Pilgrim 2, and Pilgrim 3. Don't know who all the Pilgrims are. But Kevin Michael Richardson, awesome. The greatest Beastman. Beastman is basically and I liked his look. It's weird how, though, he has like that no face in the front, but then later on he grows hair in the front or something. It's odd. Don't know why they did that, but anyway. He's basically a simp. He basically protects Evil Lynn at every moment, and fights anyone that tries to fight, messes with her. So it's interesting. We actually kind of see a kind of character arc where he doesn't want to go back to Skeletor, but he still does along with Evil Lynn at the end. So it's kind of nice to see that he at least has some kind of feeling about that. Because I always like Beastman. I always liked his look. I mean, he's kind of like a clawed Bigfoot. So anyway, he's cool. But yeah, he basically is a simp. I'm trying to remember what else there was. I can't quite remember though. But he's a simp for Evil Lynn. Moving on. Beastman, Triclops, Henry Rollins. What else has he played in? I need to look up Henry Rollins later on. He sounds familiar, and his voice sounded familiar. So, Triclops in the show, he's no longer really a minion. He's actually like a cult leader, like completely against magic, spits in the face of Skeletor and everything, and is fully for technology and the overrunning of the motherboard And what was it? The Sprocket, all glory to the Sprocket, which was hilarious to hear. And of course, he basically runs the cult of these cyborg humans, along with Whiplash and... See, it was Whiplash and who was the other one? Whiplash, was it Vicor? Dang, who was it? It was Whiplash and someone else. It wasn't Clawful. Trapjaw. It was Whiplash and Trapjaw. Basically runs it with them. And they're all like souped up with armor and whatnot. So he's kind of doing his own thing there. It's alright. I think it's an okay... and he actually felt threatening. Like, I actually, like, the voice or whatever made him feel threatening. And I kind of liked it. So I like Triclops in the show. Moving on, we have Stephen Root as Cringer. Or Battle Cat. He sounded like so much like Mark Hamill to me, though. Like, I was listening, I thought for sure that Cringer was being played by Mark Hamill. Cringer is probably one of my favorite characters in the show. Because he had, like, the most meta, talk with Tila. He kind of sounded like everyone who was watching the show. And like, hey, I've always been like the fraidy cat. You literally were made fun of me because of how fraidy I was. And I know that you're afraid. We just show it in different ways. That was like, wow. Tell like it is, Cringer. I really like Cringer, though. He was really cool. He was kind of like the same fraidy cat in the first episode, but that talk with Tila was meta, man. That was actually cool. I want to see more. And it was so nice to see him reunite with Adam, so that was nice. I really like Cringer, and I like that whole spiel he had. Who's Vicor now? Vicor. I might have to look that up. I don't have Google on right now, so I'll have to look up Vicor later. Vicor, I'll write that down. Look up Vicor in a second. Yeah, so I'll look up Vicor in a little bit. Vicor, or Vicar, or whatever, Vicor, he could have been like that one master. Because you have King Grayskull. King Grayskull was pretty cool. Grayskull, or King Grayskull. Awesome. Dennis Haysbert. Sounded awesome, as he always does. So, King Grayskull is pretty cool. And that was one of the things I liked when... Because they pretty much all of the like former champions chose their He-Man whatever persona in heaven, but Adam didn't. He chose to be Adam, so like that. But King Grayskull is pretty cool. Wondar. I do not know who Wondar is. Wondar. So I'll have to look that up. Jay Tavar. Then, of course, Alan Oppenheimer was Mossman. Mossman was kind of one of the annoying ones in the beginning. I was like, they literally killed off Mossman in like 10 seconds, literally. Skeletor literally just flames on him and just kills him instantly. And that's what causes He-Man to rage out and stab Skeletor. It was hard to recognize him, though. I didn't really recognize Alan Oppenheimer. Because I guess he wasn't trying the old Skeletor voice. I wasn't even trying for that one. And then we also get to see him as a champion in heaven. Like he went to heaven and became a forest. And that, I actually really enjoyed the talk that he had with Adam. It was really nice. He kind of reminded me a lot of that old 2008 or the old 1980 He-Man. Though. But moving on, Cree Summer as the priestess and Kaduk. Priestess, Kaduk. Let me look that up. Priestess. Kaduk. I think that was that like other female champion. I can't quite remember. I'll have to look it up. Bear McCreary did the music for this? Holy crap. Bear McCreary did the music for Revelation. That's cool. What's that? Oh, my shorts. Okay. Kevin Conroy, the man, Merman. Merman is literally an incel in this show. Like, he gets mad that Evil Lynn turned back on him. And, you forgot about Merman. Oh, it was so sweet hearing Kevin Conroy. I know Gilman usually has that very broken underwater voice, whatever. But I did enjoy Kevin Conroy's performance. And there was one moment when they like first meet Merman, like when he's armored up and classic looking, where Skeletor goes, and there's one thing we have in common. And there's kind of a pause there. And it's like everyone knows the reference. Everyone knows what you're meaning. Because Mark Hamill, Skeletor, Joker, Kevin Conroy, Merman, Batman. So everyone knows that. And literally, later on you see him like dealing with he's all scarred up and he's lost an eye from the battle, the final battle with Skeletor and everything at Grayskull. But he literally becomes an incel. The sea never forgets, Evil Lynn, and neither do I. Wow, that actually, maybe because I've been talking for so long now, I'll crush every bone in your body. Nope, I lost it. So anyway, Merman was pretty cool. I liked Merman. Okay, Jason Mewes as... I've heard of that. I think he was at Jason Mewes. I think he was at Pensacon. But anyway, as Stinkor. Stinkor, of course, never made it into the original 80s cartoon because apparently he was too gross or something. Although I think that was when the series was generally ending and he just was not included along with, I think, another character. He was kind of funny, cool, funny little reference, Stinkor was. But he gets defeated by Tila and... I always have to keep looking up her name. Andra. I just keep forgetting Andra. He gets defeated quickly, so there's not really much to say about Stinkor. Phil Lamar, the man, as Hero. Hero was pretty cool. He kind of was just that kind of heroic good guy that you just meet in Preternia. And that's kind of all it's to him. So, not much to say about Hero, but he looked cool. If I remember right, though, wasn't he... He was supposed to be like the future son of He-Man or something. So, I don't know. But I guess he's a former champion. Alicia Silverstone as Queen Marlena. Queen Marlena, nothing much to say. It was kind of cool to have of the idea of her already knowing that Adam was He-Man. So there's that. And I really do want to see her character progression with Randor. And also knowing that Adam's alive. See what happens to her and Randor. I really want to see that. Tony Todd, the Candyman, as Scareglow. Scareglow was a cool character. Like, he was a well-executed villain. Like Freddy Krueger, Candyman-esque villain. And he was really, really cool. I really liked him. And not really much to say about Scareglow other than that he was awesome. And that, I don't know. He was awesome. And Elena. Who was Elena? I don't remember Elena either. I'll have to look her up. Which I can do now. I can look up all these characters and try and edit this together later. So yeah, let's go ahead and look that up. He-Man, Elena. I'm using my tablet, so bear with me. Master Revelation. Oh wait, no. And just edit this wherever needed. Elena. Bruh. She's in the show, or is she? Is she a background character? Elena. I know Elena is like Tila's like sister in a way. There's literally no pictures of her. Oh, Elena. Maybe she hasn't showed up in the series yet. I haven't thought about that either, because... did I read who played Spikor? Oh, Spikor didn't even have a voice. So, a lot of the characters are probably going to turn up in part 2. Although they should have all been there, because we know that from the poster that in at least part 2 we'll see Fisto back. And by the way, I'll talk about that more. What happened to it's happened to everyone, because Stratos is supposed to be in here. Stratos wasn't in part 1, so he should be in part 2. Maybe Elena's just a character in part 2, and they just never addressed it, because there's no pictures of Elena in Revelation, so I don't know. Maybe someone can link that to me and help me figure that out. What are you doing, Figaro? Elena, let's find Kaduk. any pictures, and of course no pictures of Kaduk either. So that's nice. I don't know who these characters are. Oh, they had a Master of the Universe Revelation comic book. I want to read that. Okay, so I don't know who Kaduk is. I'll have to do some more research later on. Wundar. Do you know what Wundar looks like? Okay, Wundar is the one dude from the Champions. He's like one of the champions. Okay, cool. I know him now. Wundar. Hang on, guys. Vicor. Who's Vicor? Do not see Vicor. So I'll just have to look that up later on. I do want to read that Revelation comic, though. That looks pretty cool. Anyone else? Nope. So I guess I'll address some of these things I've written down if I haven't thought of them. I also want to react really quick to the... because I know a lot of people were saying that the Sailor Moon looks just like... Or the He-Man transformation looks just like Sailor Moon. I still have Bigfoot trailer thing on here from where I watched all these reactions the other day. Oh yeah, that... and I'm going to turn this on and we'll react to it real quick. See, turn it down for copyright. Let's see, does it look like I'm reacting currently right now at 51 minutes actually, to He-Man's very Sailor Moon transformation sequence. Let's see how much it looks like it. Boing. Wow. The whole rainbow thing actually really does look like it. Like everything's forming. Even the wrist bracelets are forming. I've never seen Sailor Moon. Wow. Even the hair flick. Wow. That is literally verbatim. That is crazy how similar those transformations are. Maybe Kevin Smith took a little too much inspiration. Maybe it's just a homage. But, okay. It just looks very similar. Okay, so I had a few notes written here. Let's go ahead and see. Yeah, we already addressed that the show is basically about Tila and the Masters Universe rather than a He-Man show, which is what they pitched. What Kevin Smith said. Tila taking over for Duncan. Already talked about that. I will say this. I wrote that here. Please do not make Tila like the next He-Man per se. Like her use the sword and become like She-Ra or something. Please don't do that. Please don't take that from Adam. There was no Panther. That's right. What happened to the other Masters? That's true. We'll have to see what happened to the other Masters. I want to see what happened to them all. Especially because the ones that are referenced in the poster, like Fisto, Clamp Champ, we saw them in the beginning of episode 1. I don't think we saw Stratos. Did we see Stratos? If not, he'll probably be in part 2. I think Mechanic is also in there. Fisto, Clamp Champ, Ran-Man. What happened to Ran-Man? And who is that? Stratos, Buzz-Off, Mechanic. And also what happened to the other minions of Skeletor, like Spikor, Clawful, and Webstore. And I'm pretty sure Webstore is going to be in the show. Yeah, he's in the poster, I believe. We already talked about Adam and Marlena, Randor, Sorceress. Yeah, we already talked about the Sorceress falling for the trick. And yes, we already talked about in the beginning how Adam should be like the center for the story. Preternia, Orco. And we already talked about Orco's retcon. Already talked about Mark Hamill's Skeletor. Yes, Evelyn is more like the 2000 series. Tila being overboard. Yeah, and Entitled. And the Sailor Moon reference. So yeah, we actually covered everything. Well, not quite everything. What was it? Having the other Masters. So overall, I think now I'm just talking about my overall views of the series. Overall, I enjoyed the series. Now that I've had time to think about it, sleep on it, whatnot, I feel like even though Tila's an annoying character and there's some problems with the show, I overall enjoyed it. I think they should have marketed it better as being a Tila story instead of a He-Man story and goading everyone. And like, he actually owes Clownfish TV an apology for that, because he kind of started, and I unsubscribed from them. I find Clownfish TV to be really annoying, to be frank. This constant, oh this, oh this, oh that kind of thing, and kind of got old. They were bashing Star Wars so much. Look, I don't like the sequel trilogy, but geez, like every day, every video was like something with the sequel trilogy for a while, and it was really annoying. So I unsubscribed from them, but I do agree that they kind of got screwed over for talking about how this was going to be a Tila series, not a He-Man series, like how it was portrayed. Do I think that Kevin Smith, I think he did lie. I think he screwed it with that. Do I think he was bad with the show? No, frankly I don't. I think he actually pulled together a good enough show. It's just how he handled it. And some of the decisions he made were not so great. And I don't know what I always hear everyone say that he's not a true He-Man fan, and he said that. All I can ever find of that is that he said, I wasn't the biggest He-Man fan. I watched the show, but I never collected the toys or anything. I don't see such a problem with that. You don't have to be the most hardcore fan to make a show. Most of the Marvel directors are not big comic book fans, but they still pull together good shows. And I think he did that with this show. I just think some of the hate is a little overblown. But yes, I think he kind of loses some credibility for lying about how this show was a He-Man show. Although maybe he's not lying and we just have to see the other 5 episodes. Because we only have 5 episodes of the first season. So I think it's a little bit of a fault on both fans and him on that part, frankly. But overall, I enjoy the show, and I want to see part 2. I want to see what happens from there. I want Orco back. Otherwise, this show is terrible. You cannot kill little Orco. But I do want to see how they handle it and what they do with that twist ending. I think that was pretty awesome. Skeletor summoning the power of Greystone, becoming Skelegod, and like him actually winning. So that's a cool idea. It's kind of an Infinity War-esque ending if you think about it. So I want to see, my voice is going, by the way. So I want to see how they pull all this off. Overall, I enjoy most of the characters. I think Tila was generally really annoying, but not terrible to the point where I cannot just watch the show, period. Get rid of some of the girl power stuff. Get rid of some of the, like, I won't call it Mary Sue, but kind of that Ray mentality of I'm afraid of myself, of being too powerful kind of thing. And then quit crapping on Adam. Seriously, quit crapping on Adam for keeping the secret. And quit making it like all these characters guilty about keeping the secret when they fought through the whole series of the original or whatever to keep the secret, to keep everyone safe. It's really stupid. Maybe you can address it and say, okay, yeah, the smart idea would have probably been to tell you, but nothing we can do about it now. Do it like that. But seriously. Don't know how much editing I'll do to this video. I'll probably just put a little picture here and then put that in and then upload it, because I'm not going to be doing a ton of editing. I don't think it's really worth it just to put in a bunch of pictures of me talking about different people. So overall, I really enjoyed the series. We're literally almost an hour into this, but I just felt the best way to do a fully in-depth video was to do it like this instead of live or something. And maybe I'll do a live sometime or something, and y'all will see my reactions to each episode. I'll edit them down. Hopefully they won't get copyrighted by Netflix or Kevin Smith or someone, and we'll be able to stay up. So we'll see. Because I didn't get copyrighted for the He-Man trailer, so let's see. We'll have to see. I'll try and edit them down quite a bit. So we'll see with that. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. If I had to rate the show, I'd give it an 8 out of 10, I think. Animation was really good. Just some of the casting choices I think were not so good, except like Mark Hamill. Cool. I love Mark Hamill, but I don't think he's an overly great Skeletor. And of course, Tila being the way she is, and the over-apologetic nature of Adam and Man-at-Arms was kind of annoying. But overall, I enjoyed the show. Thinking about it objectively, I have more respect for it. So I want to see how it ends. if part 2 is just crap, then my opinion might change. But for the first part of season 1, I overall just enjoyed it. I think some of the hate is a little overblown when you get down to thinking about everything objectively. So you can do that. I just discovered you can do that a little while ago. So thanks for guys for watching. Hopefully this video won't get too much hate as I'm like a shill for Netflix or Kevin Smith. I'm not a big Kevin Smith fanboy. I'm not a Netflix fanboy. I literally only watch Netflix for Camp Cretaceous and this, so whatever. And I'm not so much of a shill that I'll defend everything in this series. Some of the stuff is just stupid, but overall I enjoy myself, and I think the hate is a little overblown. So whatever. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more videos, and hope you all enjoy this hour-long in-depth review of Masters of the Universe Revelations. I recommend you give it a good viewing. I think it was actually really enjoyable, even though Sailor Moon rip-off transformation, but whatever. So thanks guys for watching, and stay tuned for more videos, and hopefully I can get this all looking well, and this can become my new little area. Hey Figgy, what you doing down here? Meow. Come here, Battle Cat. Here, Battle Cat. My guy. Little Cringer. No, Cringer would be Ryder in there, but Little Man is Battle Cat. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more videos, and 10,000 subscriber mark. Whatever. But thanks for watching. I don't think I'm forgetting anything else. I think I've explained everything in my whole case. So, whatever.